Everybody, how's everybody doing? Good. Yeah. So those of you online, thanks for joining us. I know we're back at COVID restrictions, so we're a restricted audience, but online we're more than 100 people out there. I want to welcome my friends who've been friends with me in the last 7 years, and they know the hardships of building a startup. But this is Azooka Life Sciences, Dr. Fathima and Mr. Alex Paul, and our very own Suresh Kasima, the founder of Co-Create Ventures. And I'm Vishal Krishna, the founder of Hello, and who's also part of Co-Create Ventures. I head outreach here. Welcome, Doctor. Welcome, Jens. How are you? All well? Okay. So today we are here to talk about what does it mean to build a venture, deep tech venture out of university, difficulties and joys of being here, right? Firstly, thanks for visiting us, Doctor. Doctor, just a brief introduction about yourself, right? She has been in ISC. She does molecular biology and chemistry, molecular chemistry, biochemistry. Yes. And Alex has been a veteran at Zoho, 12 years there, built the global business also, and now obviously jumped into deep science and he's fallen in love with it for the last 7, 8 years. And Suresh obviously is our stellar investor, having invested more than 20, 25 companies. He's also the founder of, co-founder of Monkeybox and Charidrona formally, and is running Co-Create Ventures, and we're all very lucky to have him. So let me start with this one question, Dr. Oju. When you had this as a research project, how did it become a business? Over to you.
That's an interesting question, but I must admit that
Keep it higher.
I must admit that I was a hardcore academician and had no idea that I would jump into entrepreneurship maybe 7 years back. So I was very passionate about research and I enjoy being in the lab and doing experiments, especially for one experiment to succeed, there are 100 failures that we have to go through, and I think that was what that excited me because every day there were some new challenges to go about. But however, as you know, there are not a lot of academic opportunities here. So that was when I was looking at some opportunities abroad, when I happened to share my resume to Alex, my schoolmate.
Oh, you've been childhood friends?
Yeah, childhood friends. So it was only after I shared my resume to him, we started having a lot of conversations around what I have been doing. And I think one thing that really changed my perception about the research that I was doing was a conversation that I had with him one day. So he asked me, what do you do? I see that I used to work with the lab even on holidays and vacation because you need to have continuity in doing those experiments. And at that point in time, I was working with X-ray crystallography and trying to solve some protein structures.
Okay.
So we
That's getting into technical.
Yeah.
What was it that you solved?
Okay, so it's actually solving, say for example, knowing the spike protein structure, right? X-ray crystallography is a method which is used to solve the structure of protein. So the advantage of knowing protein structures is that you can know how they act and you can design drugs. So you see most of the antigens, viruses are nothing but proteins, most of your enzymes, say for example, insulin is nothing but protein. So whenever there is a malfunction in your body, it's always good to understand these structures to modulate them or to design effective drugs. So that's how we will find a drug for HIV, right? So mostly they are protease inhibitors. So all the HIV drugs that are out there are protease inhibitors which will inhibit the function of the protein. So it's essential to know protein structures, maybe it's getting too technical.
No, you should. I'm actually loving this. So I want to know, why was meeting Alex that important for you?
Yeah, that's what I commented, right? So he asked me, what do you do? I see that you're always in the lab, so what do you do? So I say, okay, after we finish with our work, we get publications. So he said, after publications, what? So I told him, yeah, maybe human journals, that's the dream of any scientist. I want to publish in Nature or Research. So after then what? Maybe citations. So then he asked me a question that really opened my eyes to what I was saying. Are you trying to tell me that you're burying your lifelong work in books? Is that what you're trying to do?
Which is what most of us pick up.
Yeah, so without really creating some value or making something out of it. I think that really changed my perception towards what I was doing. It really opened my eyes to it. After that, we had several conversations, but I was still skeptical because I didn't have any business background at that point in time. So he said, I will help you with the business part of it. You do what you love to do. So we'll agree that we do things that we love to do every day. So if you love being in the lab, you do.
Okay.
Then you work on the product, I'll take it to business. And that's
Okay.
how us with how we can.
But the interesting thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that now it's a complete transformation. She closes all the business deals in 7 years. That's what money can do to you, right? That's interesting. The money is important. So,
No,
money is not important. What is it then?
Right? It's, I think, the love for the product that you have built with so many struggles does that to you.
That's a lovely way of putting it. Yes,
you
you
don't
want
want
to
the
fail.
product to fail because you have gone through a lot of sacrifices and you have put everything that you have on it, right?
You can see she's in love with the product, right? That's phenomenal. So, good job, right? Right? And Alex, I mean, you changed your life in many ways. I remember those first few days when you built this company. You also branded it as Tinto Rum. Azooka also means joyousness, sweetness, sweetness. So, talk about your early days quickly, and then we'll get into our transformation, and we'll get Suresh to talk about how can you build a deep tech out of university and scale it up globally.
Yeah. So we wanted to get, coming from Zoho, I think what we got inspired is to build products, platforms, and the ecosystem. That is what we did. So I think when it all started, I mean, the company was called AdventNet. It was in a very small place.
That was 96.
Yeah, I didn't join in 96. Yeah, it started in 96. I joined in 2001 as a campus, an off-campus recruitment. I joined as a trainee. So, but what I got lucky was I joined one of the founders team. I joined Manigandan Bebu, who's still the CEO of Zoho. So it got me to understand how he thinks and how he approaches the problem. And I think he inspired us to, the biggest thing that he put, I didn't, in college, right, I was not interested in anything, okay. I never went to college. I mean, I studied MCA, but I didn't go to college. I was more in the canteen, okay, so I went with my friends. Because honestly, I think even in Zoho, it was like that, money had its own way of inspiring things. I mean, he gives you a long rope, okay, and then catches you. I think what eventually they ended up doing is they actually put the love of product management. Okay, that is what is important. That is what you have to find in your life. Okay, what do I love to do every day if you're not paid any money or if you're not having anything, if you're not working for others, what do you love to do every day? I figured that out much later. Mani was the first one who said, I went in and he said that, Alex, you're a good storyteller and all these, the way you write and you do things is good. You take on product marketing. I mean, those days, and if you could imagine 2001, when you're coming out of MCA and people tell you to go do product marketing, I mistook it with credit card sales. Okay, so I said, I don't want to do product marketing because it was considered to be bad back then. So
most of the Muthin have been born. Oh, there have just been 2 years.
yeah. So that was a long time back. Yeah.
2001.
2001. Yeah. That's when I finished college. So, and then I think that is what the change happened. So he asked me to, he said, you're a natural at it, why don't you try it? And then with a lot of reluctance, I really took it. And I think I didn't have to try it out, it was effortless. It came to me naturally. And then I want to be a product manager, and that is what I really tried. And I did become one later. Okay. But eventually, what happened was Zoho had a problem where most of the revenue was coming from the US. And I was set on a path saying that build the non-US revenue model, where we're going to say that revenue is going to come from other than the US. So that's why I went out to reach out to all the resellers. A long story short, I didn't like it. Okay, so I like the product management angle of it. So I think in 2001 I stepped out. So after the reason that
12 years ago.
Yeah, 12 years. And 12 years ago, I quit in 2013 of March. So
That's how you met her?
yeah, no, I think I quit before I met her. Okay, so I wanted to do something. I don't know. Sometimes you reach a point in life where your salary doesn't. You will reach eventually, if not more later. You will reach a point if you make a compromise in your life, and if you take a job for salary's sake, or to do a checkbox or to get married or whatever, you will eventually hate it later. Okay.
Marriage.
Yeah. That is what most people do. We compromise their lives to do something, right? If your parents are telling you to take the job, or somebody is telling you to do that, and if you take it, what happens is eventually you start hating it later. Okay, after a point of time, the zeros won't matter. You will be in conflict with yourself. That's what happened to me. I quit without knowing what I'm going to do. I said that I'm going to do a product that will really bring an impact to people around you. That is what. And for most of you who are into software, it's sometimes when you're into software, I was too much into it. I feel that software is a bit overrated. Okay, people glorify it a bit more than it is supposed to be. So that is why I said I want to do something in biotech without me knowing what I'm going to do. I kept telling it, and I think I actually didn't join with Fatima. I did a bit of small investment in whatever she was doing, and I continued to do something in software. I was trying something in data center information management. I'm not sure if most of you will get it.
But how did you meet? I'm curious.
We were friends.
I know you're friends, but you called him for a job, right?
No, it was actually, I went to, we actually are from Ooty, a small town, and we both studied in the same school. Yeah, so I went to Ooty and I met her mom, and she said that.
She needs help.
That's it. Yeah, she said that, actually at that point of time I was traveling and I was in Rome, and she was applying for University of Rome where my friend was. So actually, she sent a resume and I forwarded it to my friend, and I didn't care. Usually resumes, you don't.
Apparently, I think my mother said that she does not want to take up the job and continue studying all her life. Please do something.
Yeah, but I'm glad you met because you use words like molecular transport media at the price of 1 liter of petrol.
Yeah.
It only took a guy like you to come and formulate that kind of
Yeah.
word, that kind of sentence.
Yeah.
It's important to brand deep science ventures.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you came in and started branding it as Tintoram, right? I want to get to that stage.
Yeah, not only that. So what I did was, it was a PhD thesis, and I saw a product out of it. Okay, we called it Tintoram even before it was patented or anything like that. Okay, so I wanted to solve that way. I found that it's a Tintoram, or it's called Tinto means red, run is color, as you know. So the idea was to solve a 30-year-old problem. So if anybody is from biotech or biology, all engineers. Okay, there is a 30-year-old problem that was pending in biology, where it was said that all DNA binding molecules were biohazardous, and there was only one company in the world that had cracked it, and it was called Thermo Fisher Scientific, and they were charging, obscene amounts. 4 drops is 88,000. Okay, which is in dollars it is $1,200. So 4 drops, it's that expensive. So we thought that, there's only one company and there's no second. So we thought that, if we were to hit somebody, this is the product we want to hit. And this is what we should disrupt. So in product management, right, you have to find out what is disruption. Disruption is making the competition irrelevant. Okay, not competing with them, not being cheaper than them or something, making them irrelevant. Like how, I think I can talk about disruptions later, but eventually that was the idea of doing it. So I saw that product in 2013 or 14 itself, and I mean eventually in marketing and branding you can name it, and that's why I name it. The company Azooka comes from the disconnect that happened with Zoho. So honestly I had a fight with Sridhar Membu on the direction of knowledge engine that I was heading. I wanted to compete it with ServiceNow, and I think Sridhar had a different idea. I still stand by what I fought with Sridhar.
But you've taken a very good challenge. You take a deep science company out there globally. SaaS is obviously scalable very fast.
Yeah.
Right?
SaaS is commodity.
Yes, I want to get to that quickly, but I want to ask you about the early days of Azooka.
Mm-hmm.
How difficult was it for the both of you? Obviously, you branded it, you started marketing it. You went to this whole aspect of people saying that you can't do it here, you cannot compete with Thermo Fisher.
Yeah.
You went through all that, right? And I remember you were saying that I don't want to look at business at all. You were saying because you heard all these things, right? Talk about the product quickly and why it's unique.
Yeah, the product problem that we had was initially what I thought, we've actually cracked an amazing product. People should love it. And I thought within the first year we should be making amazing sales. You know what? It was stigma. Okay, people didn't want to use an Indian product. They believed that American and German products were superior. They were not superior, by the way. They believed that it was superior. Nobody wanted to try us. Okay, even if I say that try us and then come to your own conclusions, they didn't try us. That was the first problem that we had in terms of breaking that barrier. And second thing is, I think I shared it with somebody. We went to Germany to claim that, we claim that we are the world's fastest and safest, and I cannot do that by sitting in India. So we went to Europe and we actually put up a big poster that we are the fastest and safest. Okay, a lot of people.
I think a lot of people want you're a nucleic acid stain, right? That's
Nucleic
what
acid.
Yeah.
About the product. So the problem is that DNA is not visible. DNA and RNA is called nucleic acids. It's not visible to the naked eye. You need a fluorescent dye to bind to it and to show you how it looks. That is what we have done. Okay,
That's
so
what RT-PCR tests also used today, right? The COVID-19 RT-PCR tests or any other test which is used or a molecular diagnostic method which detects your DNA or diseases through analyzing the DNA requires a fluorescent dye, and there are only 30 known molecules still today that bind to DNA, and of which only 5 have been a commercial success, and all the competition cells probably derivatives of the age-old biohazardous molecules.
And you have to tell them they're also organic, right?
Yeah, I'm going to come to that, but I'll tell the problem with the existing molecules. So the existing molecules, because they bind to your DNA, they are cancer causing. So that's the problem.
Okay.
They bind to the DNA strongly, and that's how they become cancer causing, and thereby are potential hazards. So we came up with a food grade safe stain. So we developed this fluorophore from a widely consumed food additive, and which does not bind very strongly to DNA so that it can cause cancer, but instead it performs its function by fluorescence, by emitting the signal. So primarily, okay, you can't see the DNA, you flash a light on it, which is your fluorophore, and not only that, the signal gets amplified by 1,000-fold when the molecule interacts with the DNA. So that is what the product is about.
Okay. Okay, I want to quickly get to Suresh. Suresh, I'm going to talk loud anyway. I want to ask you.
You want to ask.
You go on, please. But keep this question, man. I just want to quickly say, you've been a deep tech investor. I wanted to understand that these are common problems, is it? Selling of such products, is it common? I want you to address it after your question to them, please.
Right. See, the 2-3 things here. One is the only reason why entrepreneurs or the researchers should give out resume is to find a co-founder. That's the first thing. So nothing else is nothing else is worth it, right? So that's the first takeaway I had on this, right? So, but in fact, I asked him this question even earlier, right? So, what made you confident? What gave you confidence now, right? Here is a marketer, right? No one should trust the marketer, right? So, here is a marketer, right? Who is working on this one. What made you trust him to say that he will work with me and then build a global tech company, right? What gave you that confidence?
That's the question.
Researchers are academicians, right? So, for example, why didn't you go and tell him that it's okay, I may have chance, I will take it at the Nobel, right?
Yeah, you could come from Nobel instead of hiring it like
Why
that.
do you think that? Right? Why do you get convinced about whatever you were trying to say?
I think, put it in simple words, right? I think I really got inspired by what he said. Right?
You got inspired by what he told you. What did he tell you?
So he said that we will build world-class molecular biology products in India. And I think as a researcher, right, when my perception changed, and when we started working on this product much before we formally formed Azooka. So I went and spoke to my mentor at IIC, and he told me it's okay, we can work on whichever product you want. And when we started giving out samples, I think I think the biggest success for any researcher is to see see the products of your work get translating into a real product. And when somebody gets to use it, I think that's the greatest joy the researcher gets. So as such, I was not always keen on making money, believe me. So that's the reason my mother had to tell that to him. I always, from when I was young, I think I gave up a lot of good things. I gave up professional courses just because I got very excited with biotech. So I was the second batch of biotech students in my college. So I got BTS, I got Agri, I got so many other professional courses. And I gave that up because I really got excited with biotechnology and I wanted to do something there. So even after that, I've always done what I really like to do more than just getting into a job for the sake of money. So that's why my passion.
So the alignment worked.
Yeah, so the alignment worked, and I think it also gave me an opportunity to really make my lifetime's work worthy.
And how did you judge it so far? How's the journey been?
I think it's been amazing. It's been amazing. It was not very difficult for me to actually trust him because we've been in school together.
Just joking.
No, but then, no, I tell you, no, I tell you, I think with this experience, I really got inspired by him. So he always says, right, a good idea is like a virus. Okay, once you infect somebody with it, that infects 10 other people, and I think he really infected me with his passion to develop world-class products from India. And when we named Tintorong and when we did launch Tintorong as the world's safest and fastest nucleic acid stain, I think Tintorong is I can proudly claim that Tintorong is the first molecular biology product to be built and developed in India.
It's a made in
Yes, because we have a lot of, it's not a made in India product, it is built in India.
For
We
the
have a
world.
lot of, yeah, we have a lot of people who ask us, oh, okay, whom did you license this molecule from? You license this molecule from somebody and you're developing the products here. So that is what we get asked. But I think that was really enlightening moment, and this journey has been amazing, although with a lot of struggles, we faced several hardships.
Fatima, I wanted to ask you this, right? So, because this is quite closer to what a lot of people will be looking at this. A lot of faculties will be, I invited a lot of faculty to be part of this conversation. That's why.
Yes, I just use mic because I'm watching.
Yeah, why we use the
Okay,
thank you.
okay, sorry. So, two things. Okay, I mean, you are a researcher doing pretty much deep tech without worrying about what happens to this research, right? And then you have to do things that market wants to some extent, right? So, which means two things. One is your research effort may get diluted. My question is what did dilute, right? So, that was the first question. Second one, from research you move towards product. You are from the place where you don't, where you are started asking questions about why should I build application, you actually got the product. What was more difficult, right? Writing a paper or giving him inputs to write a great marketing product? What was more difficult, right? I mean, I wanted to tell you as a researcher, because a lot of faculties are watching this. I want you to get that.
I think we both are under fire here actually. As a marketing guy.
Anyway, thanks for having me.
Personally, I think giving content to write for marketing is much more challenging than writing paper. Because I think research writers are technical, they speak a technical language and which nobody understands, which is the realization that I had now, which only there is only a few like-minded people or other researchers understand. Whereas a marketing document has to reach even your kid. So I think that was more challenging, and that's what Alex always says. Whenever you run through an idea, or whenever you want to write content, you run it through your kids. See if they can understand, and that's what we have been doing. We usually run it through our kids and see to what level they understand, and then we try to simplify. But that's much more challenging than writing a research article.
So Alex, I want to understand, talking to several investors over the years, 7 years now, how much money have you raised? How's the experience been? Taking all the no's, you've taken several punches. The last we met was actually the Bay Area, and you were there for a conference, of course. How's the experience been with that note? Because I want to then get to transformation. You transformed her from a lady who's with a microscope to somebody who's now making deals. I want you to talk about it. I'm not going to let you go off easy. So how is that experience with investors? And as a deep tech company, how do you really sell it to investors?
Okay, so I think everybody wants to hear us out, but I think nobody wants to kind of put your money on it. It's very shocking. because I think everybody believes that healthcare or hospital, something that deals with hospitals. I think nobody wants to imagine themselves in that position. So investors are most. I mean, there are not very handful of biotech investors in India. Okay, so the minute you say biotech, you either have to go to the US or to Singapore, where most investments happen. That is the whole point. Even Rajan from Secure said that don't try to raise from India. Because in India, I think the investors are pretty handful. And I think.
Handful of B2C.
Yeah, even in B2B, even in both cases. So I think what happens here is, I think I'll tell you the investor scenario here. I think most of them like to kind of invest in a SaaS startup because the time frame or the time for you to make a revenue is faster. Nobody wants to invest in an IP based, or there are very few investors who want to really bet on IP based companies because the gestation period or the time for you to hit the market is going to be around 5 to 7 years. So that is the main problem. I think we've done more than 1,000 presentations and got rejected by like 250 investors or more. Okay.
That's about rejection rate of how much?
I think because most of the funds we have raised is from friends and family. Only now we are actually, the reason that probably we even got investors lined up is because of COVID, because only then they could understand what we do. Until COVID came, I actually tried to speak to the investors that I'm speaking now, and I tried to say that I'm doing RT-PCR. The question was, what the hell are you doing, man? To come back to SaaS and do something useful was the answer. Until COVID came and until even my grandmother could understand RT-PCR, I think we didn't have relevance. Okay, that is the problem. And now with COVID, I think we are actually touching 1 million units. So that becomes a case for investors to come in. Either they are going to be here or invest with us. But I believe that
Why did you add it? You're part of an accelerator now, global accelerator, right?
Yeah. That is. We got selected in Merck China Accelerator. I think that is one of the supposed to be a big landmark achievement because usually when small companies like us have to license the molecule to either Thermo Fisher or Merck because they have presence in 50 countries. I think our success was that Merck approached us saying that we want to license your molecule in a few things because the China patent is not yet out. Maybe we are actually exploring avenues. Maybe when the patent is out, we will actually confirm on exactly how we are going to license the molecule. But I think the industry itself has set the standard. I think there's another company that has developed a PCR and RT-PCR technology that sold at $800 million within 6 months, last June. So that all these events have kind of set a value for us right now. Okay, only now people are realizing that you cannot put a patch to a COVID situation, right? You cannot put an in-app update or OTA or anything like that. You need physically a chemical to do that, and you have to transport it, and all this comes in. So I think that is when we came into much relevance. I think we've lined up a few investors now for a Series A. Hopefully we'll close them soon. So the idea is that biotech investments are pretty difficult in India, and we've got used to it. And the current sales of product revenue is giving investors the confidence that they execute it.
Yeah, you got it. I want to ask you, sir, what are typical, when deep tech companies come to you, right? What are the typical things that you look at to invest in? What makes it interesting? Is like you said, like she said, narrative is important, co-founder is important. What else makes it interesting?
No, I think probably have learned whatever he has learned slightly earlier. So that's why the way we approach things is, right, what is the guarantee that the company that they are incubating will be able to go and raise capital within 1 year? It's the first lens through which we look into any company, right? So the problem that he's talking about, unfortunately, there is no way in which I can fix it, not even the investors. There are challenges why VCs in India can't put in money there. It's not just their intentions, it's not just their capabilities. Of course, there's no capability, there's no shying away from that. But there is also a fact that the customers are not ready to accept the product that he said. Right? In fact, the first problem that he said, right, when he goes and says that I got a molecule, right? Customer says you are not from Germany or this one, right? Or how many of our own hospitals will be very happy that you are amazing and created in India product, not just made in India product, you created here innovated in India, I want to support you, right? So the challenge which India has is the customers are not ready to accept something which is here, right? And I'm not talking about consumers, I'm not talking about enterprise customers, right? So you go and sell it to CIO, you go and sell it to a doctor, right? Probably you're much better off saying that it's .in than, .ltd or something, right? So that's where the challenge is, right? Most of the deep tech products need to be sold to the enterprises, need to be sold to enterprises who will discover the value, who will work with you to discover the value and give it a shake, right? That's how all the deep tech companies work in. I mean, we heard few weeks back, we heard of it.
Yes.
What he said. So there is an ecosystem required for the deep tech companies which doesn't exist because there are no customers, right? Unless the entrepreneur comes to them and says that I am able to establish connection, I make a lot of sales outside US, right? So it's very, very difficult for investors to believe that something can happen. That's where the challenge is.
Do you want to also talk about the model that you've developed for this, right? The venture
Right, I
model.
was telling that. So what we are trying to do is there are only two ways, right? I still believe next 10 years will be different from what happened last year, right? In fact, I think they are 7 years too soon. Not that. 7 years too soon. Today there is lot more money in Indian VC from the Indians. So there is bunch of, forget about all deep tech and even Ether, you could have thought about something like Ether, which while the question of how much tech is there is debatable, but you couldn't think of even that product around 10 years back, right? Because there is a lot of money in the Indian context, borrowing from the Indian founders, from the Indian family offices. There is a chance for us to take a slightly next level risk, right? So what we are trying to do is we are trying to say, take a next level risk. If there is an opportunity by which we build a product and we'll be able to demonstrate some customers without too much of sweat, we'll be able to show some customer traction, then we'll be able to go and raise the next round of funding. And the next round of funding that we are raising, it is not for the product development, it's mostly for the market discovery and growth. Because of this approach, right, we think we'll be able to do justice to the kind of startups that we are getting on board. So to answer your question, only perspective from which you look at any company is, right? Of course, innovation has to be a differentiator. That's where I'm here in the university. And preferably it has to be a transdisciplinary, multidisciplinary innovation. That's one thing which we look for. But what we want to make sure is any company that we take, it has the very, very high chances of going and raising their next round of capital at a decent valuation, a good price. Right? If they are able to do that, we will do it. That's the approach that we have taken, right? So,
What do you think of being in ISC? How is it helpful with you?
Yeah, so I think IC has made all the difference because I think when we started incubating, we ran out of cash.
Classic problem, it will never grow.
Classic problem, but I think IC's advantage is that they gave us a 5-year window in which there are 0 rentals. Okay, and so I mean everything is free, even the internet is free. We also got free insurance for not only for us, for all the employees. That kind of makes all the difference. And one thing that I believe that ISC is making the difference apart from there are other biotech incubators which are very, very expensive. Okay, so if you probably get a biotechnology ignition grant, you could shell up to say up to 18,000 to 50% of it in rentals itself. There's another incubator close by. So we couldn't afford that. So that's why we chose ISC. ISC is I come from a no BS culture. So ISC is also the same. Meetings are only 30 minutes. People talk only if required, or else they won't waste your time. And even the CEO of ISC, I think I like his approach because he doesn't, although he kind of doesn't understand our business entirely. His approach is, he knows that we come up with all these things and asks, am I stopping anything? That is his first ask. I said, yes, 1, 2, and 3, and he signs off on this. And that is, I think they treat you as, I saw that some of my friends in other incubators, they have once in 3 months review and you have to go with a laptop present and all that. ISC doesn't do all that. Okay, you are an adult, you're supposed to take care of yourself. And actually, we trouble them more in terms of asking them.
So this model of ventures coming out of Indian universities and going global is a possibility today.
Yeah, I think even in IC, I think there are a lot of people who have come back from the US and everything and are trying to attempt something big in India. I think a lot of IC ventures have started making
I
revenues.
think IITs are making much more difference. For example,
Today, IITs are
IIT Madras is an innovation park. I think they really nurture and culture. A lot of startups
It's not safe
from
to
there.
say.
And yeah, of course, co-create as well. But IIT, I think primarily takes a stand that it will more of academics and not much of a business. They believe in only nurturing and not as a typical commercial.
Okay, you met a couple of students that evening. Do you think starting out at university is the best thing to do? Do you think they can scale up depending on the right mentoring, obviously talking to the right people, right set of investors? Will they make it, or would you say work and then come back, or do deep research like you did and find a co-founder like guy you found him?
I think if they really have the passion, just right out of college is a very good time to start because they don't have a lot of responsibilities and
Absolutely.
commitments at that point of time. And having seen that they have this kind of an ecosystem, I think they are at the right place in the right time.
Okay.
At the right time. But I don't know if I don't think any work experience is going to give you advantage to entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship in itself is a different experience for every entrepreneur. So actually, yes, although mentorship does help, I personally believe nobody can mentor, nobody can really build an entrepreneur. It has to come with you because the challenges that every entrepreneur faces is unique to that person. Right? That cannot be, most of the time it is not the same. Maybe in a same sector, like SaaS, it may be a few things may be general, but I think every entrepreneur faces unique kind of challenges and he has to learn from his own mistakes and his struggles.
Okay, quickly to your business. Alex, you're saying something about this. Then I want to ask her.
Yeah, just one point. I think it's the right way for students to start because all fresh ideas come from students. Okay, the people who are going to disrupt are probably in school. Okay, so I think without having that industry experience is actually not good because you're not mellowed down by all that. You're thinking fresh, and I see that in most countries, like you see Israel or something like that. Who's disrupting? It's probably the 20-year-olds. I think it's good that
In fact,
it's a good start.
if you are 25 plus, the chances of you building $1 billion consumer company will go down drastically. So,
Yeah.
I mean, any day they can be richer than us. That's what.
That's good. So anybody watching this, if you're under 25,
But Alex, I just want
$1
to
billion.
ask you one very, very tough, unfair question.
Okay.
What would have happened to Azooka if not for COVID?
So I think we took a calculated bet. Okay.
I mean, you can't calculate.
It's a cycle. I want you to, all of you to go refer what I'm telling you. Okay. Every 7 years, we've had a viral outbreak. Every 7 years, the market says it. If you are following the stock market, you will see that every 7 years we had avian fever, influenza. We had all this. We were hoping for a viral outbreak because it was fine. I told you, no, it's not a joke. Next 7 years, you're going to get another one. Mark my words. You'll get another one. Okay, that is what, unfortunately, that is what the market is doing. Okay, that is what, I don't want to put a lot of conspiracy theories here, but that was a fact. If you check, everybody here.
You should write a book, man.
No, another book. If you follow the Wall Street, we've been going through the same cycle year over year. The pandemic is going to follow a recession. I told everybody that we are going to have a viral outbreak. We did not know that it is going to be a pandemic. That's all. Okay, we were prepared for it. If you look at it, it's fair that I'm doing marketing, but eventually what I have done is I've done product management and mapped all the products. Tinto Rum was mapped in 2014. We made the product Tinto Rum. The kits that we created were all not created now, they were created long back. We are, if Azooka proceeds as it is, we will be ready for the next endemic or whatever viral outbreak in the next 7 years, because that is going to come.
Which
Okay.
also means you want to take his number because he's got a fund manager.
Yeah, because that is how pharma companies are rich. That is how they are having a deep pocket. Okay, if I think if nature doesn't do, I mean, even this is not a nature virus, right? It's a human created virus. Okay, we were expecting this. So I told them that we will make some profits in terms of targeting infectious diseases. If we hit a viral outbreak, we'll make windfall profits. I told this in 2015 or 16. Even while incubation, I told this.
When I tell you, it's a really, really calculated.
Yes. No, jokes apart, yes, I think a lot of predictions that he made, I have been shocked because most of them have come true. He used to always map at even the previous versions of the website of the official, right? He used to go look at that and compare the prices of cyber. And he used to say, look at this, the prices have been hiked at this point of time. And he used to map that with the viral outbreak, and
Yeah.
he used to do that. We've had a lot of such conversations where I used to be amazed that he used to go to the older versions of the websites and pick out data to see how the prices were really fluctuating, especially in case of an outbreak or an endemic. So he always used to tell us, believe me, there's going to be a viral outbreak in the next 7 years. Every year there is one, and he used to map that with the profit of Thermofisher or other pharma companies and give us evidence for that. So it has been true that.
No, that's fantastic. That's a round of applause.
I didn't predict. Okay. You know how to see the future. You know how to see the future.
No.
Go look at the history, because history is repeating itself if you care enough to watch closely. Okay, so if you want to, the Wall Street is the heartbeat of the entire economy. Okay, if Wall Street and the stock market breaks down, you don't have investors or economy or anything like that. So if you really want to your business to go big, go billion, you watch Wall Street as a heartbeat, and you understand what is the Dow Jones Index, why is it happening, why is the prediction happening, what is the recession, and why do recessions come after pandemic, what is food shortage, everything is aligned. It's not new or it is not something that I predict. You watch what happened in history and it kind of repeats itself. People just, those who don't care to watch or live in the moment, they just think another one. But if you are actually having a following thought about how things happen, and you have, because in product you have to do that, you have to understand how things move and then align to that. So most of the things we predicted based on historical events.
Okay, great. I want to talk about how did you move from lab to being into deal flow and deal making? How did you manage that? Because I remember she in 2015-16 when I met her, she would not want to leave that lab.
I think I should say.
You would say, and also now being a woman co-founder or founder, how difficult does it been in the process of deal making, especially in biotechnology? I want you to answer that, but you can rate her now if you want to. Go on.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I'm not sure if I'm actually smothering my own co-founder, but I'll kind of give you the honesty, okay? First, when we met and when we told her that you, because I read her paper and said that you really have a global product that is going to bring a disruption and you will be famous and known for this, she skeptically said that you are actually hyping up too much. She never believed in her own invention. That was in 2013 when she said that you are overrating my own invention. I think some of the scientists are too. Yeah, that is what the problem that India tells you. You look at an American, he does a very small amount of work. He packages it very well so that you assume that it is amazing. That is what Americans are good at basically. They're very good at marketing. Indians are too humble, okay? Even so, if you do so much of work, you will say that I'm not that good. That is what she was. She never used to attend any investor meetings or take care of any of those. But I think when we
Not the transformation.
yeah, I don't know. That is what she will say. But I'll tell you what happened. Okay. Now I think we got to market and we had to close the deals. And long story short, right? So what we deal with is all nanoscale. Okay. Most of the things you can't see. First time I went to collect the vials in her place, she couldn't go and I went and she said collect the synthetic molecules. I collected it, and the guy is talking something. I saw that the glass was empty. Okay, I said maybe he missed it or something. then I don't know, it was very embarrassing because he's talking about something inside, there's actually nothing inside. Okay, then I called her and said, this guy is giving me an empty vial and talking so many things. She'll shake it, shook it, and I saw very small things. Okay, for me it is, I can't compute all that. Okay, so it is very nano, I didn't understand. So while closing the deals also, I think because she understands the entire component history of what is the process involved, how is it going to cost us, what is the cost, and she does that in a
Yeah,
jiffy.
I was pretty surprised.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
she's saying, I can't sell it at that cost, which was
Yeah.
never her 7 years ago.
Yeah.
She'd never do that.
Yeah, because of that calculation, and she's doing it nano scale. All the calculations are nano scale, right? I can't calculate nano scale. For that matter, I can't calculate regular scale.
So she's closing deals faster than you.
Yeah. So because it comes to a price point, right? Yes or no has to be a price point. It has to be profitable, and she knows all the steps of the process. So the first deal was closed. The first manufacturing deal for 1 lakh units. Actually, I was handling the call, and I couldn't handle the price points. So actually, she closed the first deal, and I think she's got the kick of it, deal making. And now she's doing the deals.
Yeah,
And-
before I go to my transformation, I think I want to answer
Okay.
one question that Suresh asked, which is very important. You asked if the focus on the research got diluted with entrepreneurship. But I would say actually building products brought more focus to my research. Because
That's your answer.
yes, that's the reason. No, that's the reason I wanted to answer. It brought more focus and more direction. When you're writing an academic paper, there's not much of direction that you have. But when you're building products, I think it gives more focus to the research, and that's why I started enjoying it even more. I think what could have taken me several years of work to make a publication took me 6 months to build a product, because you're focused on one problem that you want to solve and not writing a paper. So that's one thing I did.
So you launch one-time product, multiple products.
Yes, we have launched multiple products right now. We have a platform in the diagnostic as well as the research segments. Yeah.
Coming down to
Transformation, yeah. So I think there was no choice left, because being a biotech, hardcore biotech company, most of our funding that we had to go into R&D and into IT. So that has been our primary expenditure, and even now, that's one of our major. So we had to, as every entrepreneur had to wear multiple hats. I think I was also wearing multiple hats, where I had to manage day-to-day operations in the lab, day-to-day operations of this, talking to the customers. We used to give a lot of samples to our prospects, listening to their feedback and going back to the lab and solving. So it was a lot of things. So once you incorporate the company, then yes, the legal compliance of it and all those also come into play. Although we did a lot of mistakes and learned from our mistakes, I think wearing multiple hats actually made me do that transformation. Although I was averse with business, but I think I at some point of time I realized that if I have to be an entrepreneur, I have to understand what business is, and I have to understand what I really have to understand what these conversations mean. So it took me around 3 years. I used to be a silent observer in most of the meetings. It took me about 3 years to understand, and of course, yes, we used to have our own brainstorming sessions also, where wherever my shortcomings there, I think Alex used to explain. One thing that we always do is, even if it is a meeting or even if it is a talk or a presentation, I think both of us have the habit of going back and pointing out what you did well and what went wrong. So I think that way we have always learned.
Vishal, those are two very important things. That's more to that. I think I almost go and tell a lot of researchers that if you want to stay a technologist, if you want to stay as a researcher, better become an entrepreneur. Right? Because no one can come and tell you stop your research now.
Yes.
Yep.
We are not dependent on grants anymore for your research. Right? That's one of the stuff that I say. And I'm glad that you mentioned it. But Alex, I want to ask you one question. How important, I mean, we spoke a lot about it. How important, I mean, and one of the most impressive things that I heard from you is you actually went and read the paper before even you studied, right? So, which shows the kind of person you are, which is brilliant. The question that I have for you is, how important it is for the co-founder to get the hand on the product, right? Like you said two things which I don't believe, right? How your nano story, you didn't realize what was.
Yeah, really.
You
You can show it, yeah.
but I want to understand what was the effort that you put in and how important for you to understand the product, right? To launch the product.
So,
Because I want to make sure that all entrepreneurs understand that the product is very important for the startup. That's where
I think it's a nice question because I agree with you. A lot of people who talk to Alex now call him Dr. Alex and think that he's a
Today, he's left the match, she's caught on like wildfire, and now he's left behind.
No, sure. I heard him pitch in one of the forums. I heard him pitch, and I couldn't believe that he was not a doctor, right?
So you are a transformed person yourself.
Yeah, he was,
Would you say he's transformed?
so much of clarity, right? So that's easily one of the best tech pitches that I have heard, right? That's what I told him. So
okay, so the background for it comes from probably Zoho, where they say that you put 10,000 hours, you can become an expert. You can put 10,000 hours on anything, you can become an expert. And primarily passion. Okay, passion is everything. Okay, so why do we like certain subjects and why do we don't like certain subjects? It's because of two things. One, we should have an interest, and second, we should have a good teacher. That is very important. Okay, if you understand the subjects you hate, it's probably because of bad teachers. Okay, so I think I had two things. One, I was kind of too much overwhelmed with software sales and everything. So I wanted a break. I thought that I was given all this to do something much bigger. And software is a 2-bit technology, zeros and ones. Genomics is 4-bit. Okay, ATCG. That is a code of your life. Okay, software needs upgrades. Your body has been the same for billions of years. I wanted to understand the technology of the body. That was my biggest. I love technology, and I wanted to understand the technology that will never go obsolete. That is the technology.
Yeah, you said ATCG, right?
Yeah.
It's not a tax saving instrument, but right?
ATCG is the building block of it is your DNA. Okay. So all diseases that you see is a combination of this one. So it's computer is silica based dead technology, which is only 2-bit. Okay, so I thought that it was very interesting for me.
I have to add to whatever he said. Initially, Suresh, we used to have a lot of conversations where I had to explain him the basics of molecular biology, what DNA is, what it is, and we used to spend at least 6 to 8 hours a day to really feel and understand. So one thing about Alex that I wish I could be like that is, even if it were to write a small one paragraph, he reads a lot, he does his research well, and only then I used to initially argue with him, to just write this, you need 2 days, 3 days, why are you doing this? But it took me a lot of time to understand that when he comes out with a talk, I think every research about what he has written and what has come there, I think it is that nature about him that really made him understand molecular biology at a much faster rate than it is. Because unless he understands something completely, he doesn't put his hands on it.
This is how entrepreneurship works, right? It's complementing each other. It's one mutant smotherer, by the way, right? So this is amazing transformation. Thank you for being on Pebble, right? Let's go to some questions, right? I think the audience has questions. Anybody have questions here? Right? There's Santosh there. Santosh, I'll pass it around. I'll walk around, okay?
anything from
Okay, I'm Santosh, and kudos to both of you for starting this amazing thing. So I come from computer science background. So from past couple of years, I'm hearing about AI, whatever, helping in drug discovery, and recently the MIT team probably discovered salicin as a powerful antibiotic. So I want to know what's happening in probably IISc or over in India scene in regard to drug discovery and molecular science.
Hold it up. I can't run around now. It's only one mic.
He's the one who was handing all my infos.
Okay, so I think AI ML is picking about the machine language and artificial intelligence is picking up now. I think we are seeing a lot. I think the move has happened even when AlphaFold came up with their protein unfolding and all that. I think we are seeing a great amount of movement, and I think in India, especially in biotech, you will not believe that people are sometimes scared of computers. Okay, so there are very handful of companies who are doing this. Why say there are few companies who are doing this, but it has not found a mass adoption. For that matter, even now, just now, Nature and most of the papers have published that because biotech, most of them were dealing with patents, are very skeptical about adoption. In India, I think if you want the case of India, right, so in India, you could say that, sorry to say this, but most of them are not computer aware. Okay. Computer averse, I should say. Because in India, not only researchers, companies, I think, we go to all the events, right? So that is the sad state of things. When I talk about automating it with limbs or even that, people, because India is filled with different kind of CROs, lot of product-based companies. But I think the trend is picking up. Okay, I think even in COVID, I think there are a lot of antiviral cocktails. Prediction happens based on the therapeutic target database, and we ourselves are trying with it. So we're also trying to hire. That is where probably we are falling short because if you look at development, what happened 5 years back and what is happening now with ML, the input models have changed. Okay, and that adoption has not changed in companies who are still hiring the old way. Okay, so even if you look at the market leader right now, his hiring profile is most not in the ML based. Most of them do a lip service or a marketing tactic where they say that we also have this. But if you look at a stack, if you're a developer, you understand how your stack must be. So that kind of I think it's picking up a lot. I think maybe in the next 5 years we'll have this. But in India, I think it's not there yet, honestly.
To add to whatever he said, yes, although I agree that it's not there yet, but I think there's not a lot of research that is going on in AI with respect to drug discovery of biotechnology, because there are a lot of couple of startups, say for example, they have made Arabia AI, who have developed AI-based platforms for that can assist in cancer diagnosis. The only one differentiator that you have to understand here is whatever platform or an algorithm that you build can only play an assistive when it comes to human life, when it comes to healthcare. Because you will definitely have to be dependent on the other clinical tests or a doctor to finally confirm it. So it can be an assistive role, there is a lot of scope, but researchers earlier, right, those days, researchers were only got their experiments in native computers and etc. But now we do understand that these computer science can really fasten the speed of research and drug discovery. So I think that's the realization now when people are dependent on a lot of software programs, which actually reduces their trial and error period and probably also their cost. So I definitely believe that it does give that momentum to research. Maybe what took 10 years to build with the experimentation day in, day out may now be reduced to 5 years. But that's what computer science can do to the discovery and health.
There is no biotechnology stack.
Is that business option?
Yeah, we are doing it. We are doing it.
That's why you said developing a platform.
Yeah. So when I came into biotech, I was expecting. I come from a tech company, right? I asked, where is the RFC MIP? Where is the MIP? Where is the RFC? Where is everything? I thought that if you type i.function.rest, it should automatically pop out the rest. It's nothing like that. Okay. I was wondering why somebody didn't think about protein data is different. That is in a different DB. You have to do a search here, get it here, do that. There is no integrative approach at all. Okay, forget ML. Okay, that is advanced. After that, you collect the data pools and then you can do that. Basic protein guy talks about protein only. Cell guy talks about cell only. DNA guys don't talk to both of them. Okay, and all databases are like that. Okay, so what is it all about? All about is your body, right? Why can't you? And my simple question was, why can't you have one aggregated, federated data source of all this? Because everything is talking about your body, right? Still, there is no biotechnology stack. You can even check out what is the Temple of Biotech, the MIT Broad Institute. The Broad Institute of MIT is supposed to be the Temple of Biotech. You go there, you will see cell separately, DNA separately, all this separately. But all this is about the body, right? There is not even one attempt at a technology stack. That is what I am attempting to do.
Yeah, all the best to you. Any other questions? Please.
Student.
Raise your hand for the-
Hello everyone, I'm Aditya. Just finished my third semester. My question was to Dr. Benzi. So now, as someone who moved from academia to the industry, etc., now in hindsight, looking at your entire journey, is there some advice you'd like to give to a student who says like is interested in research, etc.? You know, maybe a different perspective that they should look at when approaching their work. Maybe in the future, always looking at it from an idea of developing a product in the future and not just ending it at academic work itself.
So that's a good question, but I would like to highlight here, okay, every research cannot turn into a product, okay. Even understanding systems, understanding your body or the basic research is very essential for translation research. So one cannot say that translation research is superior to basic research or basic research is inferior to translation research. So both are essential. So it depends on your passion, right? But one thing every researcher should have is what usually a lot of researchers end up in, especially in India, is that because the intellectual challenges here are less, and probably because you don't have a good salary packages like that of the IT sector, there's a lot of demotivation. Right? Say for example, even my daughter says, I cannot struggle like you, I'm not going to do biotechnology or biology, I am not going to do engineering, I will not do this. She already has a list which she says, but she says, I really don't want to struggle like you. So it probably depends on your passion, what you want to do. So as Suresh said, right, most of the basic research or exploratory research may end up in a Nobel Prize, if that is what you want. But if you really want to impact lives, then you may want to build products from whatever research you are doing. So that primarily depends on your passion. But what is very important is to have focus in your research. What a lot of researchers do, I know all PhD theses that are submitted in biology or any aspect of life sciences, right? The first 3 years goes in figuring out what you actually want to do itself. And it's only in the last 1 year, right, you end up experimenting and having results, and the final year you end up writing the thesis. This is what actually happens. The first 3 years is actually, you literally waste your first 3 years. So it's always good to have focus. So I think you should have clear focus on, even research can be problem related. You want to really address a problem that you want to research on, and it's always good to have that clear focus rather than going to what somebody says, okay, this lab is doing this work. Although it's not my interest, I just want this position, so I will just do what they ask to do. It's good to have focus when you want to do research, and literature is very important, which a lot of people don't do. It's very essential if you want to be a researcher. So in the first 3 months, if you really do a good amount of literature search and align yourself with a problem, I think they get you more PhDs in a much shorter period of time.
And valuable PhDs, not just PhDs. So there's any other question? Puneet?
Thank you, Fathima and Alex. Wonderful session. However, I'm a researcher, but my question is not towards research, it's towards business. Being presented so many times, you got rejected. How many times you come back and have changed your product or market approach after you listen to investors? I have 2 more questions aligned to this. And is this affected your saying getting no from investors? Did it affect your morale and confidence in the business? The third question is that what's your advice for all of us who will be looking for funding in very soon?
You got all three. Go for it.
Yeah, so the first question was on the
Product, did you change the product after
Okay,
you
yes, yes.
So, yeah. So, no, okay, so the first, right in 2015, we decided that it was going to be tint or run, and it is still that, okay. So we have not made a pilot or we have not changed anything, we've just added more formats. Now we've made it synthetic mimic, we've made it better. I think what I believe that is, one analogy I give here in building product, okay. So there are two ways to build a product. One is called a temple, the other one is called the bazaar. Okay. In bazaar, you sell trending things. If everybody says AML, you will also say that. Okay. If everybody says app, you will also say app. That is what the bazaar does. The bazaar does trending things. What is building a temple is you have to build the whole, you have to build the statues, you have to build the main, you have to build the main thing, you have to build the side things, you have to build the entire structure, and you cannot open it until the temple is complete. Okay. But once it is complete, people will see what it can do and it will have a drop. It will have its own pull. Okay. In bazaar, you have to push. In temple, it's pull model. Okay. So we decided that it is going to be a temple that we are going to build it. We know that the investors won't like a temple; they want a bazaar. Okay. And it's, yes, it is. I mean, it's not a moral drop at all. It's depression. You go, I mean, sometimes you don't, and now we are seeing revenue, so it's not a problem. So until you get that right, why do you think she took the business? Sometimes what happens, I mean, all after like, I mean, I met this guy, I told that at least, Alex, have you done 150 presentations? After 150th presentation, you'll get funded, Alex. You've done 300 presentations. So I went into a depression saying that am I doing something wrong? Because all my friends out there in software, right? You know how software is, right? Super high paying, okay? They all have BMWs and what Maybach and whatnot. Okay, when you see that and when your own family kind of says that maybe you should have gone into software. Went into a depression, okay? And all the funding is coming for science. I have nothing to do. All of them are scientists in the team, so I can just go and catch up on data and what to do. Yeah, I went into a whole lot of depression. So how did she handle business? When I go into a depression, she handles it. When she goes through a depression, and because science is filled with failures, and some of the times, right, product didn't work. First, amazing, we did a product, we launched to market. Customers said that it is not working. Simple, okay? Because batch to batch variations happen, and we have to do synthetic route to kind of make sure that the molecule works all the time. So all those times and funding and everything, you go to a not moral drop, big time happens over a period of time. I think you need a set of friends, family, and all to get you back on stage saying that okay, you're doing something important, okay, like that. So yes.
So you're constantly selling.
Yeah. So that happens. And and your third question was
Don'ts for
Motivation.
yeah. So I think that is what you should do.
Before that, I just want to
Yeah.
something more specific to what you asked. So after all the investor pitches, our product hasn't changed, but it has got refined. So what we did was, with the kind of questions that we got, we tried to accumulate more evidence for whatever the questions were asked over the period of time. So we tried to fill in the gaps. Right? I think you, as an entrepreneur, you don't have the liberty to change the product. You cannot do that because you started with that idea and with that conviction. You cannot afford to change your product. That is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But what you can do is you can, when you come and just analyze the conversation, you can identify a lot of gaps that are there, and you can try to fill in those gaps. And that is what we did. So even the proposal that we did for IISc incubation is still valid today, but just that whatever was a proposal then, now we have evidence for everything, and it has got more.
Yeah, when you change. One more thing I want to add is, sometimes I think, I'll tell you about the business, okay, why I believe that, I still believe that biotech is the thing to do, okay, and I'll continue saying it, okay. All of you understanding software business, right? there is a one third rule, okay? So one third of your startup, if you go into commercial now, I don't think you have the problem. When you go out, one third of your company's expenses will go towards rentals, maintaining the place, running the place, okay? And and the other part goes for hiring people. The next goes for data center costs. Okay, probably you'll make a profit of all software companies. I'll tell you, apart from Zoho is a different game altogether. They've made a different model. All of them make 25% profit only. You cannot go beyond that unless you have a scale of different order. Zoho, even with all efficiency, I think they make around 50% profit. This is the rule, it cannot change. It is for all companies. In biotech, it's the only space where you can make 500,000, 2,000% profit because that is the nature of the business. Once you crack your patents, once you do this, once the model is fixed, then it is wealth building. Okay, I think what I think the two factors that we didn't change the presentation. I mean, as long as humans remain, diseases will remain. As long as we continue this culture, this our kind of work lifestyle and culture, we know that the basics are the same. It is not going to change. I think it's only a matter of time people realize that we are building this, and I think COVID actually brought us to the forefront.
Great motivation. What would you advise on?
Yeah, I think although we said that we didn't change the pitch, what we did was we added on more products. I'll just take some time to talk about the recent innovation that has hit the market. Bad times. In bad times only you have to think about. So we got shut down. We were about to launch the product. We were about to launch the research use products. COVID pandemic hit, and they locked. ISC came under COVID protocol. She came under as a scientist. I'm not a scientist, so I was not even allowed inside the building. So I had to take the chemicals out. We didn't know where to keep it. We didn't have a place. So I went and took in a car, an auto, and all these things, and stuffed the chemicals all in my fridge. Part of it in our fridge, my friends, because all these chemicals have to be at -4 degrees. So we did all that. And what we found, and after doing that for 30 days, we had to take it back in the lab and test it. And what we found in that was samples that we had done for 5 years back were stable and were working. Okay. And we didn't have any other business, everything was closed. And we were discussing with, both of us were discussing and with the founders. We found that having stable sample collection itself was a problem for India. India was having a COVID virus. We did not have sample collection media. Everything was imported from China, and China did a power play by stopping all the media. So there was nobody to make good sample collection. It's a very basic thing, and because she's working in RNA for 5 years, a good stable sample collection kit was the key to cracking the test method. So we made it into a product during the pandemic when there were no resources available. We had sat in our house and thought about it because we couldn't even go, we didn't get the pass. And then we got back to ISC and said that, we've really done a sample collection kit that can help, because the other sample collection kit need cold storage. You need to store it in cold, we need to kind of keep it in cold storage and transport it in cold storage. She had done something where you can store it at room temperature. That was a big, and it was, yeah. And for 5 years, the sample was not contaminated. Contamination is a...
That's serendipity, you didn't know that.
Yeah, no, we actually found it out because of COVID, because we didn't have access to our labs, because the problem happened that we have to keep the samples all over the place because current cut happened. You know how the current power cuts are. We were shocked that the samples we did 5 years back were the same. So that itself has become a product. We are around 8 lakh units per month. We have market deployed 8 lakh units in the market, hopefully going to touch 1 million units by March, before March, I think, to the current order volumes. So that is what you have to do. I think everybody is not going to be a straight line like this. You're going to have ups and downs. At the worst times, right? You have to think you are going through a worst time because there is an opportunity around you that you have not seen. Sometimes we panic. What happens is most of the time, it used to happen to me earlier. Without money, what you do is you panic. Okay, you don't know how to pay the bills, you don't know how to pay the salaries. Now, even without money, we've learned that there is no panic, because I think one thing that we've understood is you've taken the path of destiny. And I think if you do that, okay, everything that you want comes to you at the right moment without you having to try. When you're true to yourself, when you're not planning to cheat anybody, you're living. What happens? The path of destiny is you are living for yourself. You're not living for somebody else. You're not living to paint a picture. You're actually united towards a common cause, which is the greater good. Rest all falls in place. Okay, at times when there is nothing, I think you have to think about how to do with what is given to you. Okay,
That's very yogic of you.
not you. Yeah,
That's
no, you also tell that.
That's extremely entrepreneurial of you.
Yeah, because in entrepreneurship, what happens is, sometimes, right? I mean, when you have money, you have a lot of friends. When you don't have money, you'll understand that all your friends are friends of your money. Okay, not you. I think, if not anything, entrepreneurship teaches you is what is you, who are you. It is what it teaches you, and that you can learn only when you have zero. It's when you have no money, no friends, and everything. That is where you find inner strength.
I only wish none of them had done that.
Right, any other questions, guys, before we call it close?
Yeah.
Arjun, why don't you ask first? Why don't you come to the front, please? Come on.
So the COVID outbreak, which is predicted right now, which is going to come or might not, what do you feel is going to be the future for Azooka? How do you think it's going to elevate? How do you think it's going to grow, or how do you think it is going to be?
Yeah. So I think the future of Azooka, I think with all the COVID, I'm not sure. But anyway, I'll kind of tell you what we believe is going to come. It may or may not come true. I think.
No, I want to predict.
No, I'm not going to predict. I'm just going to overlay data of the previous endemic and then come to this.
Yes.
Okay. So if you overlay the previous influenza pandemic, what happened was the same thing happened. If you look at history, same there. They said no to masks. They've done all the protests. They've done all the drama that is happening now. I think what we are worried about, what we believe it will happen is during March. I'm just going to say what MD Portland of Mayo Clinic said. It's not my view. I'm reflecting his view. He believes that we already have another variant apart from Omicron. It has started. It started showing up in different places, and this might be more fatal than Omicron. So, but the real mutation or the real bad version is going to come out in March, April timeframes. We hope that that variant does not go on to the animal kingdom, which is getting into your chicken, getting into your food or meat products and everything. If the virus is able to break into that animal kingdom or food chain, as most of them consume meat, most countries, right, import and export beef a lot. Okay, so if that happens, then we are looking at a 2-year window or 2 to 3 year window for COVID itself. And after that, it will be an endemic like influenza, where COVID will remain and its variants will remain. Okay, so what our goal is we started. Yeah.
So I think his question was what.
You frightened the shit out of me before that. I'm scared.
No, that is there. I think the question that was asked was what if COVID was not there, right? We started Azooka by building safe nucleic acid dyes. So what COVID has done is only it has only made us more relevant. Okay, that doesn't mean that we were going to be relevant. I think Suresh said we were 7 years early, but I believe that we are right on time because it took us this 7 years to build that product. Right? It takes so much of time. If we would have started now, I think we would have the product now. The thing is, we have built molecules that bind to nucleic acids, and I think COVID has taught us a good lesson that future is going to be molecular diagnostics and DNA-based analysis only. And it is not only relevant only for human beings, but it is also relevant for plants, crops, animals, environment, food safety testing, everything now is dependent on molecular methods because believe me, molecular diagnostics and genomics is going to be the future of healthcare and precision healthcare. And I think we are at the right place at the right time, although it has taken us years to build. So the future is going to be molecular, and that's where we believe that we build the right product at the right time. So COVID has only given us that relevance, and it has accelerated a little bit of our growth, but still the product that we build still remains valuable and a jewel that is very rare because in the past 10 decades only 30 molecules have been discovered to bind to nucleic acids, and I think we have reported a novel class of molecules that bind to DNA which were not reported earlier, and I think that's the advantage that we have. So because molecular diagnostics and precision medicine is going to be the future of healthcare, I think we are at the right place and we have a great.
I'm quite aligned with the future because he asked about what is the future. The future is a three-part play. Okay, so products, platform, and ecosystem and software play. Okay, so eventually what we are planning to build is we build the products. We're extending to platforms that can target infectious diseases. We're also working on a software component because how else can you hook the users in one way? Okay, so that is what we are working on, a bio stack that everybody can work on. So this is going to be the first mobile based. There are a lot of desktopish 10-year-old things. We're trying to work on the mobile play. So this is a products, platform, and ecosystem play in which software is going to play the integral part of hooking the users onto a platform. So this has been the play from one. We've executed part 1 and part 2. Part 3 of the software is about to be.
And probably to overcome the stigma, we will come back to India as a kind with our products, with our global products. I think that's the best way. Although it's sad, but I think.
But we should also come back with green card.
Green card or no green card, we are absolutely impressed with these two. Thank you so much. And thanks to Suresh for getting people on board. Thank you, Suresh. Round of applause. Right, everybody stay safe. I know Alex is frightening me for March and April. I haven't cancelled my holiday trips. Sorry, I'm going to work more, Suresh. That's for sure. Right? But stay safe, everyone. You're on Pebble. Come back to us if you're a university startup, if you're an accelerator. It's all about venture studios. We'll help you grow, guys. So thank you, Suresh. Thank you, Dr. Fathima and Paul. Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much. Guys, another round of applause. By the way, I am Vishal Krishnan. I'll be hosting so many of you every day. And please come back to Pebble and tell us what your startup does and we'll talk to you. Thank you so much. Bye guys. Bye-bye.